G'day guys, it's Stuart here from WS Tackle World down on the Gold Coast. We're here to do the fishing report this weekend, the 14th, 15th and 16th of February. Well, everyone's back now, but Dougie's gone again. He's gone fishing for a week out on the Swains Reef with the guys from Big Cat and Wilson. Dougie, hopefully it's fantastic weather for you, mate. I'm sure it'll be alright. They're going out to Samarez Reef. Looks like an awesome trip. And I'm sure we'll get some stories when he comes back, whether they're true or not. In true Dougie fashion, they'll probably be very enjoyable. Right, guys, fishing out here this last week has been, on the good weather days, been really good. So still lots of wahoo around, still some quality snapper getting caught, and obviously lots of dolphin fish around the fads. Spanish mackerel closure still on for about another week yet. And then obviously you can still chase spotties and stuff like that. So what we might do is start out wide like we normally do, work our way in and cover a bit of everything. So guys, at the moment, obviously during the summer, the current is normally running pretty hard, which makes deep dropping and things like that quite hard. But the last week or so, the current has been down on what it has been. And it hasn't been too bad. So the guys with the bigger boats that have been out trolling for marlin and things like that have had a bit of a deep drop along the way. There's been some good quality catches of bar cod, decent sized pearlies, a few flame snapper out in that 202 to 300 metre type depth. So it's been fishable. Coming in a little bit closer, around the 50 fathom line. So guys trolling, still catching wahoo out there. So wahoo from the 36s to the 50s predominantly. Trolling skirts has definitely been the better option. Little metalhead style, that's a couple of the popular little ones that have been catching quite a few. And if you're running a spread of lures like skirts, and you can, put a hard body out the back as well. So the little 160 Laser Pros, they're just little Helcos. They've been working really good this season. They just tick along. Generally we run them out either your long corner or your shotgun. And you can put single hooks on them or just run trebles, stock standard out the packet. And these have been accounting for quite a few of the catches as well. So just mixes it up. And generally, if you're running a hard body in your spread, hopefully they go for the hard body and they don't destroy your skirts in the process. So wahoo, very teethy critters. Unfortunately, they do love eating skirts. It's great for people selling the skirts. It's not so good for people using the skirts sometimes. But definitely can create a bit of carnage, but they just work so well, so we just keep on using them. While we're on the trolling scene, around the fads, so the 50 fathom fads and the 36 fathom fads, still been plenty of dolphin fish, better quality fish on liveys or trolling around the fads first thing in the morning. So I normally just run my little spread of fat boys. There's a couple of good colours there, Fusion and VG. Definitely been accounting for quite a few fish this year, and they're great little skirts, skirted on the Gold Coast as well, so support the locals. While we're out around the 50s as well, the Northeast 36 has still been plenty of kingies, amberjack and a few Samson up there as well. Mainly mechanical jigging or high-speed jigging, and just around that 150 to 200 gram jigs have been working quite well. So couple of my little favourite ones there. That smooth reactor in the middle, that accounted for a lot of fish last time I got out there, and had a jig in that 90 to 115 metre type depth. And longer, skinnier the jig, easier to use, and you can always run them a little bit quicker. Shorter, wider the profile, more slow action. Better for pearlies and snapper and bottom demersals, but all of those pelagic type fish, like that fast moving jig, longer and skinnier. Coming in now, guys, around the 36s, still been lots of snapper around there as well. Just remember, all of those fads that are out off the Gold Coast are on good reef, so you can bottom fish around them. Generally, I like to bottom fish the down current side of them, a few less people. If you're fishing on the northern side, you get all the guys chasing dolphin fish and stuff like that, and it can be quite busy. So have a sound around while you're out there. If you put a few dolphin fish in the boat early around the fad, either trolling like we just said, or float lining half pillies and things like that, or liveys. You can have a bit of a bottom fish or jig. So slow jig in like the Lacanis type style jigs. Always catch a few snappers and pearlies. The other option, Shimano, another style that they do, that's the baku, so slide in type ball weight, or the squid tracks. So 110 up to about 130 mil size squid tracks has been catching quite a few as well, particularly when they're shut down a little bit. For some reason, they love that vibe in action. So try one of those, or a vibe of some description. Coming in now a little bit closer, so around the 24s, been some good quality snapper getting caught. Matty, jet ski fisherman, regular customer of ours, great fella. He took his young fella out last week, first trip offshore, 90 centimetre snapper, absolute fish of a lifetime. I don't think the realisation's really kicked into the young fella yet, but it's going to be tough to beat. Hope you beat it, but might take a little bit. So the boys just cast off plastics. They've got their favourites, but the little power baits and the squidgies have been going good. Really long, big tail on these fellas. So you just cast it up current, or up drift, I should say. And as it's sinking down, that big tail's just going to waft around there. These ones here are have the big fins on them as well, so lots of room to put your scent in. And just run them on probably around a 3/8 or a half ounce head, light as you can. The longer that takes to sink down, the better. And those big quality fish, they eat it on the sink. So you don't want to necessarily bomb it to the bottom. You want to stay up there and try to get those bigger fish that are perusing around, patrolling, feeding. So that's around the 18s and 24s. Been a few dewies around the 18s as well, quite early. Water temp's still very warm, but on liveys predominantly, all plastics on the bottom, so not a bad option. You can try up around the blocks off Stratty as well for a few dewies, and anywhere where you can jig some bait generally, there'll be a few dewies around. Mackerel, obviously still closed season for Spanish mackerel, but you can chase spotties. Mermaid and palmies had a few fish on it last week, not massive numbers by any means. Been more cobia down there than anything. See True Blue, the boys have been catching quite a few cobia down on Mermaid by the look of it. And there's definitely been a few other cobia around like that, just the 18s and diamond and stuff like that as well. So worth having a livey out the back. Spotty front, look, definitely this time of year, there's a lot of bait in close along Stratty. It's definitely worth keeping an eye out for spotties. They should turn up any second up that way. Definitely towards the end of February, but from about now you start seeing the odd school of them. Just keep an eye out for birds diving and fish slashing. They don't jump, the little bonitos and little tuna, they jump. The mackerel just slash around very quick and pretty easy to see from a distance. So casting little metals or little sinking stick baits. So that's a couple of new ones. They're a duo press bait. Right size, right weight. These things are going to cast like an absolute rocket and they should work really, really well. Apart from that, the old Samaki Flash, stock standard, 35 and 55. These things worked an absolute treat last year. They accounted for plenty of fish. And definitely once that mackerel closure opens up, the Spanish mackerel closure that is, that bigger size, that 55 size accounted for quite a few Spanish last year as well around the spotty schools. So casting that little bit bigger sometimes weans out those littler fish and puts a few bigger fish in the boat. Coming back in now around the Seaway guys, north wall of the Seaway, still had quite a few dewies and jacks on it this week for the guys that are live baiting. And around the corner, look, over the weekend guys, we should have a high tide around about 10 o'clock. Perfect time, casting little plastics up into the rocks, up into those sandy pockets and around the timbers at the end, chasing a few flatties. So little S-tackle, rattle minnow. These guys are super easy to use, super thin in the tail wrist and have awesome action and got that inbuilt rattle as well. So just run them on a 1/4 ounce head, little 3/0 hook and you're in business with those little fellas. They've been catching quite a few as well. Look guys, as well, obviously high tide around that 10 o'clock. You've got the last of the run in, quite a good tide to fish around the back of Wave Break and around Carter's Bank and that type of area for some whiting. So just try to fish as early as you can. You want to fish it while the banks are still dry-ish. And so a couple of hours after high, start fishing and you want to fish them as those banks get flooded. So whiting move up into that shallow water, forage and feed, and if you can run unweighted yabbies or unweighted worms or very lightly weighted worms, definitely going to catch a feed of whiting. Beat a few whiting up the river as well at night on the run out, and again, yabbies or worms have been working quite well up there. Jacks, mangrove jack, definitely a summer fish. Definitely been a few caught this week. Obviously we had heaps of rain the last 24 hours, so it has dirtied up the water a little bit. I'd definitely be trying around the mouths and around those rock bars around the mouths of the canals. Early morning, late afternoon, just try to cast in some poppers around. So massive stock of Lucky Craft just arrived this week as well. So G-Splash, kind of the original jack popper, or one of them. And these things are built tough. Great hooks straight out the packet, tie them on and just fish them. And they really splash. They have a really good action. And some of them have feathered tails, so obviously a little bit of added attraction as well. Get a few trevally in the process, a few big tailor, and always good fun seeing a fish come out and smash it off the surface. And once that sun comes up a little bit, I'd definitely be trying little hard bodies, rolling them around the corners of pontoons and along those rocky drop-offs and things like that as well. So duos, they're a great little lure, swim fantastic out the box straight away, and just a little shallow runner. So these things are going to dive deep enough, probably around about that meter depth on the cast, but they're going to dive deep enough just to get under the pontoon, but not to hit the bottom. So generally most of those jacks, when that sun's up, they're hiding up in that sheltered area underneath the pontoon. You don't want something to rocket straight to the bottom because they won't swim down to eat it. They might, but if you can get something that dives just under the pontoon itself and just kind of flashes around and they can see easy and they don't have to move too far, you're definitely going to increase your chances. So that's a great option to try. Narang, Coomera, natural structure in the Pimpamar River early morning on the surface stuff's great around the mangroves, and definitely worth a shot. Moving up towards the Pin now, guys. So again, in the basins up the Pin, the new lagoon and the old lagoon, up the end of South Stratty. Definitely early morning. If you didn't want to use your bait for your whiting and stuff like that, I'd be using little poppers and little stick baits. So there are a few little ones that we've got back restocked. So little Jacksons, little smash popper there as well in the middle, and the little duo on the end. These things work a treat. Very small trebles on them. You can put assist hooks on them as well to increase your chances a little bit, and be able to get some brim and whiting and a few flatties and stuff like that in the shallows on surface lures first thing in the morning as that tide runs in. Apart from that, guys, up the Pin, still lots of crabs around. Obviously, as I just said, we've had all that rain, so it's going to bring the muddies on the move a bit. We've definitely haven't had enough to stir it up. So I'd be putting my pots out the centre or out the front of all the little feeder creeks around Jake as well, or Rudy Mars, that type of area. Up around Cabbage Tree Point as well, works not too bad. And while you're up there, guys, keep an eye out for prawns. I went out this week with my old man, and first trip of the season. They've been not too bad for the last week to a week and a half. Lead up to the full moon, never my favourite. The tides were getting bigger and we managed a bucket and a half in about an hour and a half. So it was quite good when they were on. They came on the top of the tide really quickly, and as that tide turned and started running out, they kind of buried and vanished. So look, high tide, low tide, try to prawn around that tide change. Southern Bay Islands, quite good. Up around Carragara, up around the Saltworks in that deep hole. And there's been a few around Rudy Mars and Jake as well at times as well. So look for the other boats casting, go on over there, try to find them on your sounder, and just look around that general area and you're bound to get a feed of prawns over the weekend or leading into next week. Apart from that, guys, beach fishing. Obviously there's a little bit of wind coming through. I think I did forget to say that at the start, but Friday, tomorrow the 14th, is definitely the best weather day. Saturday morning, not too bad. Swings around to a northerly at around about 15 knots. So the guys that want to offshore fish, you're definitely going to have to zip out there early and get back early. Sunday, you might have a bit of a window before that southerly change comes through at around about lunchtime. looks like there's about a 30 knot southerly change coming through on Sunday. That's at this stage. We always have to say that they change the weather very, very frequently now, and it's not really what they predict. So just keep an eye out on it. Obviously make the judgment on the day and check the closer weather forecasts when they come out. So beach fishing, back to it. You might be able to get out there early Saturday morning or early Sunday morning. Afternoons will be a bit blown out. Plenty of little whiting and some good sized dart and sea bream in those close gutters. Just using worms for bait. We've obviously got cured beach worms downstairs. If not, we've got the worming pliers back in stock now. So come down, we'll give you a brief rundown on what to look for and how to do it, and get out there and try to catch them. It's quite challenging, but it's good fun. And once you learn how to catch it, it's free bait forever, so it's great. Apart from that, guys, freshwater stuff, Hinds Dam, it's pretty stock standard this time of year. Obviously, that bit of rain that we've had in the last 24 hours is going to lift it up a little bit again. Try to find those areas where that runoff water's running into it. It'll flush a lot of bugs into the dam, and fish generally feed around that area. And just because it's kind of, that's where the food is. The food's getting pushed in. Surface lures or little small soft plastics rigged weedless around those type of areas where the water is flowing in work quite well. And yeah, apart from that, guys, I think that's about it for this week. Hopefully you get the chance to get out on the water, keep an eye on that weather, and don't go if you think it's going to blow up, and yeah, double check the weather closer to the time. That's me signing out for another week, and hopefully you get out there and get stuck into a couple. Thanks, guys.